The United States is now experiencing the most amount of layoffs since the beginning stages of the pandemic. That is a problem. Now, most people say that no, the economy's strong, that there are ample jobs out there, everyone is hiring, but that's just not the case. Did you know that 1 out of 5 unemployed workers had to send in over 100 applications just to get one job? Yeah, that's less than 1%. That is a terrible, terrible figure. But it was recently reported that the United States currently, and again, this is where things get a little bit out of control because most people don't realize this is happening because it's a slow trickle effect. But the United States, as of July, the end of July, we've experienced over 806,000 layoffs since the beginning of the year. That right there is, just in July, it's a 75% increase year over year. And from last year at the same time, we are already, actually last year, the entire year, we are already currently 6% over the unemployed figure, okay? The amount of people that are getting laid off, we are already 6% higher than the entire 2024 figure. That's the problem. Now, and I'm bringing this up because a lot of people say that, no, this isn't true. Everything is just fine. That's just not the case. But I'm sitting here at it's the Outlet Collection Mall in Auburn, Washington. Okay. And right over here, okay, I'll show you really quick. Right over here, this is the Regal Cinema. Now, why am I showing you this? Well, the reason why I'm even showing you this is because I was sitting here back in 2020. This cinema was closed. Nobody here. You know, the movie theaters were closed. Nobody was working them. Nobody was going to the movie theaters. Companies weren't even making movies. They weren't making movies for the theaters anymore. It was all going to, straight to Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime and stuff like that. And the reason why I'm showing you this is because this is exactly what's happening. This is what we've been facing for quite some time. And most people don't realize this because it's not making headline news. You turn on Fox News and CNN and Bloomberg and CNBC and you'll see that Microsoft just laid off, 6,000 employees. You see Amazon's laying off tens of thousands of employees. You're seeing all this stuff that's happening. But what most people don't realize is that the little companies, the small ones, the ones that have 50 employees, those are the ones that are doing the layoffs. Those are the ones that are experiencing stuff a little more drastic. And those are also the companies that can't afford to keep paying higher costs due to tariffs. So they don't just go out of business. They don't just raise prices. They slowly try to raise prices. And if consumers allow it, then consumers will continue to buy, the business will stay afloat, and everything will be just fine. But what actually happens is the businesses try to raise prices. Consumers, they don't like it, so they stop buying. When they stop buying, what happens is the business struggles. And when the business struggles, they don't just lower the prices back to what they were. They lower prices at the same time they let go of employees. They restructure and try to save costs. That's essentially what everyone's doing right now. They're trying to restructure. They're trying to implement AI into their systems. And I thought this was very interesting because I went to a movie theater somewhere in Idaho a while back. And when I went there, here's what I thought was interesting. You'd walk up to the front and there was nobody there to greet you. You would hit a button, you tell them how many tickets you need to what show, and if you were not, if you it was rated R, then you had to be over the age of 18. Well, they just have you show the ID to the little scanner, and if you were over the age of 18, you could get in. Perfectly fine. They'd give you tickets. Well, there was nobody there. It was just a computer screen. And then you'd go up and you'd order your stuff, and and the stuff that they had as far as like candy and stuff like that, again, another machine. The only people there were pouring pop and getting popcorn and handing the candy over. That was it. Okay, everything else was just all automated. And I thought this was interesting because, again, everyone's talking about how AI is taking over our jobs and we got to be careful. But at the same time, a lot of these companies are using AI to bring down costs to ensure that they can stay afloat. And so let me ask you this, because this is a debate a friend of mine and I had. It was quite intense. But I asked him, I said, so would you rather have businesses go under because they are charging too much money for their product or service? They are not getting enough customers, which is obviously an issue. So they have to go under. They have to close. Let's say it's a franchise, a small franchise, has 10 different stores. They may have to close 3 or 4 of them just to stay afloat. Okay. Would you rather have that or, and again, let's say each store has 10 employees. And so now you see between 30 and 40 employees just lost their jobs because those stores had to pretty much shutter just so the company could stay afloat. Or would you rather see these companies implement AI into their day-to-day operations? And yes, maybe it takes away from 2 employees or 3 employees lose their jobs as a result of AI. So 2 to 3 employees per store, that's 20 to 30 versus 3 or 4 stores shutting down and each store has 10 employees, that's 30 to 40. So it's a 50% improvement and we retain 50% more of our employees. And I asked him that. And he said, well, it's not as black and white as that. Like some stores have to shut down. Some companies have to restructure. They need AI. But that's what I've been telling you for 2 years now, to be prepared because this is coming. And it's not something we're going to be able to slow down. And I talked about this, did a video on this as well. And I said, what about all those, I talked about in Rhode Island. There's a piece of legislation out there that I think it already passed the House. Maybe it's already passed the Senate. It's going to the House for approval there, but potentially banning self-checkout machines at grocery stores and restricting them to only so many based off of your how many actual cashiers you have working. And so again, I'm bringing this up because right now AI, just technology in general, is having a huge impact on the entire U.S. economy. Because right now we're in this tough spot as to, do we hire more workers or do we lay off more workers at the same time we try to improve our day-to-day operations? So we'll see what happens in the near future, but just wanted to share this with you because I know a lot of people are wondering, where are all these layoffs coming from? Because we're not seeing anything on the news. And the fact of the matter is this: if you don't have hundreds of employees, thousands of employees, and you're letting go the majority of them, you're not going to make the news. The only reason why Amazon, Microsoft, Target, Walmart, they make the news is because these are massive companies. That's the only reason why. So as we get more information on this, I promise I'll bring you all the latest news and updates as soon as we get them. But that is what we know as of today. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.